Welcome to Starbucks. My name is Noah. How can I help you out today? Extra caramel? Extra caramel? You want a whole cup of caramel? I don't know if I could do that. I'm sorry, Karen. Even though the other store did it for you doesn't mean we can. Make the moment right. Period. But for real, what am I gonna do with all these aprons, hats, and Starbucks shirts that I have now that I don't work there anymore? Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a Starbucks Q&A. If you're not aware, I used to work at Starbucks. I worked there for about a year and a half. I was a barista, then a barista trainer on my way to becoming a supervisor. I recently quit about a month ago. But there's a lot of tea, there's a lot of Starbucks hacks, there's a lot of Starbucks misconceptions that I just wanted to address and answer some questions. So one of the questions I got asked a couple times was, how was it like to work there? And honestly, Starbucks is a super fun job. I had the best time working there. I love the company. Sometimes I regret leaving just because it was a really awesome job. And the company really does care for its employees. There's a lot of perks like free Spotify. They have the ASU program where they refund your tuition. They have good health benefits. It was just a really cool job. But that being said, you need to know how to multitask. If you do not know how to multitask, you will not be successful at Starbucks. You also need to learn to quickly adapt to fast-paced environments, because one moment the store could be super slow, the next moment you could have a rush of 50 people when there's only 2 people working on bar. So definitely have to have speed, definitely have to be comfortable with multitasking. You definitely always have to have your customer service skills on and poppin', because Starbucks is one of those places where it's definitely the customer is always right, and you definitely need to make the moment right. Not saying to let customers walk all over you, but Starbucks would prefer you give out a free drink than have a customer be upset. So customer service skills, multitasking, fast-paced environment. One of the things I used to always tell the people that I was training was that working on the bar and making drinks is just like a video game. It's just like a dance. There's a specific routine to it, and you need to stick to the routine in order to be successful. And you're gonna feel like a robot sometimes, because it's just muscle memory. Sometimes you will be daydreaming about other things, but your body is just so used to being like, okay, pump the syrup, add the ice, add the milk, put the top on, put it in the blender, blend, blend, blend. While that's blending, stir on the other drink, and have this sequence just going on and on and on repeat. So it can be stressful for some people. It's a lot to take in, but once you get the hang of it, like I said, it's just like a dance. It's just like a video game. It has a specific routine. So one of the questions I got was, what was the most common drink ordered? And I would have to split that up in 3s: Frappuccinos, refreshers, and espresso. So definitely the most popular Frappuccino was the caramel Frappuccino with extra caramel. Non-stop, every day, every other car and drive-through, caramel Frappuccino, extra caramel. Don't forget the extra caramel. That's not enough caramel. I would hear that every day. But for Frappuccinos, to make one, it's no problem. I don't mind making one. But when I have one car pull up and order 12 of them, oh my gosh. Especially on happy hour. But yeah, definitely the caramel Frappuccinos. Most popular refresher was definitely the mango dragon fruit refresher, with or without lemonade. I'm not too much of a fan of the mango dragon fruit. I kind of think it just tastes like medicine. I would prefer the strawberry acai over that any day. But yeah, the mango dragon fruit was definitely very popular. And the TikTok drink was very popular as well, which was a mango dragon fruit refresher. wait, no. Strawberry acai refresher, extra berries, extra strawberries, mango dragon fruit inclusions, add lemonade, double blended, extra ice. That was also a very common drink. I never tried it actually, but I think it would just be way too sour with like all those inclusions added. But yeah, a lot of people ordered that. And the most popular espresso drink was probably the iced caramel macchiato. Also, our cold brew drinks, like the pumpkin cream cold brew when it was around, was super popular, and same with the Irish cream cold brew. But I would say like 70% of the people who went to my Starbucks were not there for the espresso drinks. They were there for the frappuccinos and the refreshers. The next question I got was my best and my worst experience working at Starbucks. So I would say maybe my best experience would be meeting Lana Del Rey, which was super cool, and I got super lucky to meet her. The story of that was I went in on one of my days off. I had covered for somebody, and I went in at like 7 p.m., but I ran to the bathroom before my shift, and when I walked out, I saw two of my supervisors kind of crowding around someone. And I was thinking like, oh, it's probably one of their friends, maybe someone from a different store visiting. So I walked by and like looked at the person while I passed, and I just stopped and was like, are you Lana Del Rey? And she was like, yeah. And I was so shook, and I was like, oh my god, like, hi, like, you're so pretty, hey. Like, I was just so, woo. But I got to take a picture with her. She was super sweet. The drink she ordered was a hot mocha with whipped cream. But I asked my coworkers, like, did she order already? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, I'm not even clocked in yet, but I want to make her drink. Like, let me get on the floor so I can make Lana Del Rey's drink. But I guess it was already made, and I was like, fuck, like, I could have had the privilege of making Lana Del Rey's drink. But that was definitely the coolest experience from working at Starbucks. The worst experience was our store had like a little robbery situation go on. I was working one day and I was in drive-thru, and I had my little headset on, taking my orders, helping the customers, handing them their drinks. Like, I had my flow going. And then all I hear is like chairs being pushed around, and it sounded like tables were being pushed, like somebody was like getting down in our lobby. And then I heard somebody like screaming, and I was like, oh my god, did somebody just get jumped, or is somebody fighting? Like, what's going on? Because honestly, my Starbucks was not in the best neighborhood, so it wouldn't be too surprising. Anyways, I walk over and I see like 3 people run out the door, and I see a woman crying and screaming. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I asked like one of my coworkers what happened, and they were like, oh, they stole her laptop. At that point, I told the person on my headset, like, hi, welcome to Starbucks, give me a moment, I'll be right with you. And I pull my phone out of my back pocket and I call the police right away. And I hand the phone to my supervisor and I go back to what I was doing. But not gonna lie, like, we were all super shook up because, like, what the hell just happened and why is nobody stopping it? So those people ran out the door. The woman was crying and screaming in the lobby. I was trying to help customers, but they noticed something was wrong, and they were asking me like, is everything okay? And I just told them like, oh, we just had a little incident going on, we're still trying to find out what happened. But everyone was super shook up. So like 30 minutes passed, and I guess my manager decided to close the store for 2 hours, have the district manager come in for us to all have a conversation. The cops came. It was a whole like scenario. And in that little meeting we had, we also found out that the people who came and stole the woman's laptop also stole one of my coworkers' cell phones. And I guess they came in a couple minutes prior and kind of scoped the place out, and then they walked away. Then when they came back in the second time, one of the people ran to my coworker who was on her 30 doing homework in the lobby, and the other person ran to the customer stole the phone, stole the laptop, and ran out. The customer tried to run after them, but there was a guy at the door holding the door open for the two girls who went in and robbed the customer and my coworker, and he pushed the customer to the ground. And that's when she was like crying and screaming. But after that, like, all of us were scared. Like, none of us wanted to sit in the lobby anymore. Like, we were all super paranoid. But I would say that's probably the worst experience that happened in my store. Anyways, so another question I got asked was, what was my worst guest experience? So me, myself, like, I'm really good at blocking out negativity from guests. So if anybody yelled at me, like, I would be like upset for like 5 minutes, but I don't really like retain that in my memory. I just kind of bleh, like throw it away once the night is over. But one thing that did really make me upset because I did nothing wrong was I was working on drive-through bar, which is just making the drinks for the cars that come in drive-through. And another one of my coworkers was working as drive-through with the headset on and charging people at the window. And this lady pulls up to the speaker and she orders a grande cold brew with extra heavy cream in a venti cup. So I make her exactly that. She pulls up to the window and she's like, this is not enough heavy cream, can you have her remake it? So the girl who's working drive-through asks me if I can remake it. And I tell her, like, okay, should I just dump it into a Trenta cup and add extra heavy cream? Like, would you want to ask the customer that? So she asked the customer if she'd like me to dump it into a Trenta cup and just top it off with heavy cream. And the customer says yes. So that's exactly what I do. I take the drink that's in the venti cup, grab a Trenta cup, and dump it into the Trenta cup, and I top it off with about this much heavy cream, because that was the amount of space that was left over that needed heavy cream. And then all I hear is bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I look over, the customer is literally punching the drive-through window. And I guess the girl who was working the drive-through was like scared, like didn't want to ask her what's wrong. So I walk over there and I'm like, is everything all right? And she goes, do you think this is a game? Do you think you're being funny right now? And I ask her, like, excuse me? And she was like, why would you add that much cream in my drink? And I said, you asked for extra heavy cream. I gave you extra heavy cream, and you said it wasn't enough. And then my coworker told me to dump it into a bigger cup and top it off, and you said you were okay with that, so that's what I did. And she was like, well, that's too much, and I don't want it anymore. And I was like, that's okay, ma'am. You don't have to have it. I could make you something else, or we could refund you your money. And then she starts going off on me, and she starts screaming. And at that point, I'm like, ew, like, no, like, go away. So I just walk away, and I tell my manager, like, that lady at the window was crazy. She was punching the freaking window. We should call security on her, like, if she doesn't leave, because that's not normal. Like, who gets out their car and does that for a little bit of heavy cream? Regardless, I think that would probably be my most memorable bad guest experience, but there definitely were a lot of Karens and a lot of crazy people that I've dealt with, but that one probably takes the cake. Another question I got was, what was the best drink I've ever tried? And that's so hard because I go through drink phases where, like, I make up a drink and I become obsessed with it and I drink it nonstop, and then I find something else and I start drinking that nonstop. But let's divide it into different categories. So Frappuccinos, my favorite drink for a good while was the blueberry pie Frappuccino, which is something that I created and that we don't have anymore, so don't try to go look for it. But pretty much what it was the blueberry infusion, heavy cream. I would add vanilla bean powder to it, a pack of blueberries, and then blend that. Add whipped cream on top, and then add the little graham cracker pieces from the s'mores Frappuccino on top, and that was so good. And I would drink that like twice a day, which is so bad because, like, that's a full cup of heavy cream, like, bleh. But I liked it, and I put a lot of my coworkers onto it as well. So for Frappuccinos, that was definitely one of my favorites. I also like the Snickerdoodle Frappuccino, which is a white mocha Frappuccino with cinnamon dulce powder and cinnamon dulce syrup and little caramel drizzle on top. And I would get that, but I would get it without coffee base. Just because I didn't really like the Starbucks Frap roast. Like, it tasted kind of weird, but that's really good as well. For refreshers, my favorite, like, well, I don't really like refreshers, but my favorite, like, tea drink was the pineapple black tea lemonade or the blueberry black tea lemonade, both of which they do not have anymore. So, boo! Starbucks, bring it back. Those were so fire. Before I left Starbucks, though, there was a drink that I was obsessed with, which I definitely recommend you guys should try. And I actually got the recommendation from another YouTuber named Lindsay Ray. But the drink was a strawberry acai refresher, no lemonade, no water, sub green tea, and add matcha powder. Oh my gosh, that's so fire. Like, I showed it to a couple of my coworkers and they liked it too. I showed it to my boyfriend who doesn't even like matcha and he liked it. So I definitely recommend that if you want something refreshing and delicious. My favorite espresso drink, I went through a phase of just drinking caramel macchiatos all the time when I first started at Starbucks. But then once the pumpkin spice syrup came out and I added the pumpkin spice to the caramel macchiato, oh my god, my life was changed. First of all, it's super cute looking because it's like all orange at the bottom with espresso on top. It looks like a little candy corn, so that's super like delicious and super aesthetic. But another really fire espresso drink that I was obsessed with right before I left Starbucks was an iced white mocha with peppermint syrup. So good, so refreshing, so sweet. I would drink those like twice a day. A funny question I got asked was, have I ever thrown hands with a customer? No, I have never thrown hands with a customer. However, if you want a future story time, there was a ex-coworker turned customer who wanted to throw hands while I was working and came to my job. It never happened, but that could be a future story time maybe, if you guys want to hear that. That was pretty crazy. But no, I never threw hands with a customer. I don't think any of my coworkers have either. It never really got to that point. We definitely had crazy people scream at us, cuss at us, record us. There was like a lawsuit that was almost gonna happen. I'm not sure if it ended up happening or not, but there was a guy recording us and like making accusations towards us, but nobody's ever gotten down at my store, which is good. Good. I got a question asking how was the interactions between me and my coworkers, and my store has definitely gone through phases. My store was a roller coaster. When I got there, there were a lot of people there who were, you know, not really on top of their best game. There were people who didn't care. There were people who would cuss back at the customers. There were people who were slow and didn't care about, you know, being productive. And it was just like a very toxic environment. There was a lot of drama and a lot of unnecessary hostility. So I want to say like my first like 2 months, like I did not feel comfortable. Then like kind of slowly, one by one, those toxic people started leaving, and then it just started, you know, to get progressively better. We had a lot of new hires. At that point I became a trainer, so I was training a lot of them, and that was really awesome. That was really great, and the store definitely had a big improvement. Our customer connection points went up, skyrocketed after we lost all the people who didn't really care about the job. So that made me really happy. My relationship personally with my coworkers was, you know, I had my friend phases. I had people who I got really close to, but at the end of it, I don't really talk to anybody that I used to work with anymore. Nothing against them personally, it just, you know, ended up falling off. But no, I never really had any real beef with anybody. There was like little drama going around my store sometimes, but you know, it would last a couple days, and after that we were all just like a Starbucks family again. So the interactions between me and my coworkers, they were pretty okay. Have I ever fallen in love at Starbucks? Actually met my boyfriend there. So I guess you can say yes, but at the same time, like, when we worked together, we never talked to each other. And it probably went like my first like 3 or 4 months working there that we never spoke. And then we didn't really start like getting more serious until after he left Starbucks. We were dating for a while, but our relationship kind of just like improved a lot once he left Starbucks, because it was like, you know, we weren't working together. There was no drama involving that. Like, there were no people with their opinions anymore. So yeah, I guess I found love at Starbucks. So those were all the questions that I received about my time working at Starbucks. If you guys have any other questions or any other requests for Starbucks videos, I'm definitely open to spill some tea, definitely open to share some hacks or recipes or anything you guys might be curious about. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and have a wonderful day.